Hello, it's so nice to see so many beautiful faces. Such an honor to be in your presence. Thank you so much for coming to listen to my boring talk. I'll try my best to make it interesting, okay? So let us first dedicate, okay? So dedication prayers, or motivation prayers. Sangye chedan soye chenam la changju pardo dane gyapsu che dagi jinso gibe sonam ge dola penje sangye dro baraj Sangye chedan soye chenam la changju pardo dane gyapsu dagi jinso gibe sonam ge dola penje sangye dro baraj Sangye chedan soye chenam la changju pardo dane gyapsu chi dagi jinso gibe sonam gi drola penje sangye dro bara sho. Okay, so they wanted me to talk about one big love somehow, but it's very complex to talk about love, so I'm not really going to touch that base of love, but I can touch around it, because love is a word, very simple word that cannot really cover what the meaning of love really is, so it's but I can introduce to you a little bit the concept of one big love. So basically it's a mixture between Lama Yeshe's big love and Bob Marley's one love. So it's a fusion. That's the idea. And Bob Marley's one love is like one love, the same unconditional love between the mother and her children, that kind of love. It's a one love. It's a universal love. That's what one love means, right? It's the same love. And then big love, of course, is universal love. Huge love. So the mixture I just made, one big love. Just wanted to make a point, because it's true. Bob Marley's songs, many of them, they talk about Buddhism, right? I mean, about Dharma. Emancipate yourself from mental slavery. None but ourselves can free your minds. That's Bob Marley's words. But they're the same. They go in hand by hand with Buddhism. So anyway, so just wanted to let you know about one big love. I don't know really what I should be talking about today, so I wanted to do more of a workshop. We have an extra mic. So I just wanted to ask if it's hello.
Angela jumped up and suddenly the sound went off. Maybe there's a
connection. Or maybe, did you turn on that mic?
No, I didn't.
No.
Is this one on? Turn out, please.
It's not working. Oh.
Desi's holding it.
So just think about maybe some subjects, a subject that you would like me to talk about, or some questions. Just feel free to just ask, so that I can have an idea of what you want me to talk about. Because there's so many things, so many subjects, it's very difficult for me to really pinpoint what you want, or what you need, or what I can share that you're interested in. So, it's okay. So, yeah. You want to start?
Well, I would appreciate it if you could tell us what the top issues in your life, what were the learning and experiences you had, and how did Buddhism come home to you,
Okay.
or your life lessons
All right.
arrive at your doorstep?
So we're getting personal so fast, huh?
Yeah.
Straight to the point. I like it. Good style. All right. So, yeah. So I grew up in a monastery. Okay, so I was in India already when I was 14, 15 months. I was already in India, going through the tests of whether I was a reincarnation or not. But so I studied official studies in the monastery when I was 5. So I went to Kopan, then I went to Switzerland to Tse Chen Ling, And then when I turned 6, I went straight to Sera, to the south of India. It's a big monastery, about 7,000 Tibetan monks living there and studying. So yeah, I mean, I started studying at a very young age, and I studied Buddhist philosophy a lot. And it didn't really make much sense to me at that time. I was just being fed, and I was just eating and grazing. But it only started to make sense when I left the monastery. So when I was in the monastery, it was a beautiful concept, very nice, but it didn't make sense. So I didn't really understand what samsara. Okay, what's samsara? When you're a kid, you don't really think about these concepts. Grown-ups suffer so much mentally. You're like, why do they do that? What's up with grown-ups? Why are they so worried and this and that? So when I was a kid, didn't really matter. I just studied intellectually, concepts, labels, like that, ideas, interpretations, information. But only until I left the monastery, and I had no choice but to adapt. Then, in order to adapt, Dharma and the philosophy really helped me. Because without that, I think I would have suffered a lot and I would have been very lost. So that is my experience. While I was studying it didn't make much sense. It was a very beautiful concept, but so I think it's both sides. It's not only the studies that count. It's also the way you put it in practice. It's a lifestyle. It's an attitude. Okay, it's not just a belief, or a habit. Or you do a couple prayers every day. You just sit down, close your eyes, and act like you're meditating, but actually you're thinking about tomorrow and about yesterday. And so it's very good, to receive teachings, to read, to do prostrations, water balls, all of these aspects are complementary to the warm heart. But it doesn't mean that you can just bypass. So one of the issues that I have, one of my concerns is that many times we just bypass, we don't want to really confront ourselves so much. We don't want to recognize our mistakes or our issues, or maybe it's too painful to recognize. It's too painful to go back and to confront our fears or our issues. So what do? We take refuge in something. So we just bypass those issues completely. And we can take refuge in many different aspects of life, It can be alcohol, it can be, financial, search, finance. It can be a spiritual kind of, taking refuge in spirituality, or taking refuge in your partner, or taking refuge in an idealization of a happy life, which can never happen, because basically you're setting yourself up for disappointment. Because you're projecting, you're creating a reality that doesn't exist, and you're idolizing that. So when you expect something, expect to be disappointed. So you really have to be able to confront yourself before you take refuge in anything, because otherwise you're just bypassing it, and then you can be practicing Dharma or whatever it is that you take refuge in for 30 years, and you'll be not just as lost, but even more lost, maybe, Because suddenly you're like, what's up? Why am I not moving on from this issue that I have, And that's the issue, that people don't look at themselves, It's much easier to look at others and judge others and criticize others, but to criticize ourselves, to look at ourselves, to judge ourselves, that is much more difficult. So actually judging and criticizing others is a way to avoid judging and criticizing ourselves. There's a saying that I really enjoy. It's not the case always, but this is my idealization of friendship. It's a real friend criticizes you in your face and talks really good about you behind your back. Right? So that's a real friend. It doesn't always happen that way, but I try to be a friend. I try. Even though many people, they end up hating me. They're like, they don't like to hear those things, But sometimes it's important, because the only people that can really help you are your friends. How are you supposed to see these aspects of yourselves if there's nobody there to show them to you, That's why I think sometimes it's much more difficult to have a householder life than to be meditating in a cave alone. For me, you advance much faster as a householder if you put in practice Dharma as a householder than if you're sitting in a cave for 20 years meditating. It's very easy to say, oh yeah, I have a lot of patience. Yeah, wait till you're put in the middle of a family. You have to take care of your children and the mother and and your mother and the mother of the mother of this. Then it's very easy to sit in a cave. Maybe you need patience with listening to the drip of the water or the humidity, or your bones are cracking or your back is hurting. So for that you need patience, but it's a different type of patience, right? But ultimately, the patience is with yourself. You have to have patience with yourself. It's not like, it's very easy to blame others. Oh, I lost patience to such and such person. They said this, they did that. But really, you lost patience with yourself. So that is something you have to check. You have to take responsibility for your own life. It's very easy to blame others. Very easy. Just so that you don't have to take responsibility. But we are responsible. Some people, they say, oh, it's destiny, everything's already been programmed, everything has already been designed. So I have no choice. That's very easy to say, that's very cowardly, you're taking off responsibility from yourself. So we are responsible of our karma. We are responsible, And what really belongs to us? People, they say, oh, this is my car, this is my house, these are my clothes, this is my body. Right? But if it were really yours, nobody could steal it from you. Nobody could take it away from you. But, oh, my car, suddenly next day you go out, there's no more car. Oh, it's gone. Oh, what happened to my car? Where is my car? Well, somebody else is using it now. Now it's their car. So what happened to my car? If it was your car, how can they steal it from you, right? It must be borrowed somehow. Just like this body. This body is originally stardust, It was most of this body was created in a star. And it will become worm food eventually. So it's just a process. It's a process. It's a transformation process. So no need to get so attached to things, because the attachment comes from fear of losing something. And most of the times what we fear of losing is not even ours. It's just a grasping concept. Because we are not living the moment, we're not present. So as long as you're not here and you're not present and you're not living the moment, you're going to be unsatisfied. That's going to create suffering. As long as your motivation is egoist and selfish and self-centered, result will be suffering. And that is a universal law. It's not just Buddhism that tells you about it, or Dharma. So, you have to be realistic. Obviously not pessimistic, but realistic. Not pessimist, but realistic, so prepare for the worst, but expect the best, right? Yeah. So, more subjects? Yes, 1, 2, okay, awesome, this is good, I like this. People are really interacting.
Hi, thank you for coming.
Thank you so much.
I was hoping you could touch on Dharma in the 21st century, Dharma for the modern age, however you want to put that.
Dharma in the 21st century. Okay, so, so if you think about it, the philosophy, the essence of Dharma, whatever you want to call it, doesn't matter what you call it, it's a universal kind of law. If you check, all of us, we have the same, our blood is the same color, right? We all are constructed in a similar way. The base of our existence as a human inside this vehicle is very similar, okay? Then, of course, we branch out. We're different in every single aspect in that, after the branching out. Even the body is different, but the shape, the way it's, the base, let's say, is similar. So based on our experience, on our childhood, on our culture, on our language, and all of these different aspects and circumstances of our life, we end up having one perspective or another, different types of perspectives. So this is normal, that everybody sees things in a different way. You can't expect people to understand you or see things as you see it, because everybody has a different perspective. But just the same way that our blood is the same color, and the base of who we are is similar, There's a philosophy, like for example, gravity. The law of gravity is physics, right? So it applies to everybody in the same way. So Dharma, or the philosophy of Buddhism, applies to everybody in the same way because it's a universal law. And even before the Buddha, before even the word Buddhism was created, already that philosophy has always been there. That law that applies to us, So we can put that in practice. We can use that, So the technique is the same for everybody, but the circumstances are different. But what we have to understand is that the circumstances don't make us. We make the circumstances, right? We are the ones who choose how to react to the circumstances. And that is a very important thing to be aware of. Like, just an example, okay? Like if you have boiling water, okay? The boiling water is the circumstances. You put a potato, it will become soft. You put an egg, it will become hard. But the circumstances are the same. So it's you choose. You want to be an egg, you want to be a potato, you choose. It's up to you. You can't blame the water for it. And that's also what Dharma is telling you, So basically, one of the things that Dharma really helps us with, or helped me with a lot, is to learn how to adapt positively to any circumstances, no matter what. And that for me is a gift. It's a blessing. Because we tend to really overvalue negativity more than positiveness, right? So something bad happens, it's a big deal. 10 good things happen, it's normal. And then we just remember, that person said this, or this happened, But then all the good things, all the nice things that people are telling us, we just completely forget about it. Why? Because we overvalue that negativity. But we have to just switch that. If we're able to switch that, then what's going to be present in our life? What's going to really take form in our life? Whatever we overvalue, whatever we value, whatever we give importance to, right? If you fear something and you're projecting what you fear, then you're creating that reality. You're attracting what you fear, right? And we tend to do that a lot. We tend to get into this kind of mindset, this cycle of just going around and around, and we create these habits, these neural pathways of self-pity or self-importance or self-centeredness. And based on that self-centeredness, we suffer a lot. That's why it's really important to always start the day with the attitude of gratitude. Because that will help you to not be so self-centered. And that will create the cause for you to be happier automatically. Just because you'll be more aware of others. That helps you to have the platform of empathy. So gratitude is a key, essential kind of attitude in life that we have to practice every day. And that's one habit we want to have. Because we all want to be happy, right? It's just the way we pursue that aim or that objective is very different to the result that we're looking for. So basically, in other words, we want to be happy. We know that what we are doing is not going to make us happy, but we're still doing it. That's what Dharma is trying to tell you, It's trying to help you understand the nature of our mind, to understand our potential, and to help us adapt to the circumstances in a very positive way so that we can create the cause and the circumstances for others also to be able to adapt in a positive way. That's basically what Dharma is. Okay? It's not a concept. It's a philosophy. It's a lifestyle. Dharma by itself, the teachings, the statues, the water bowls, all of these things by itself is like a bulb without electricity. We are the electricity. We are the ones who give it that, that energy, that purpose. So it's not about just doing water bowls or prostrations. It's about doing that as a complementary factor to having a warm heart, to being compassionate and kind, loving kindness. His Holiness the Dalai Lama talks about it all the time. So that's important. And you have to be aware of that without spiritually bypassing. You understand? So you use the philosophy, Dharma, as a means to confront yourself. You use it as a tool to improve, not to avoid confronting yourself, so that you can be ha ha he he hoo hoo for 20 years, and then you're like, uh-oh, I still got the same issues as I had 20 years ago. That's not why Dharma was, offered. I mean, Dharma has always been there. It's just that they gave it a name, they gave it a technique, But the strategy or the what do you call it? The practice is universal. Okay. And the warm heart, wherever you go, everybody can relate to a hug. Everybody can relate to the word mama. Everybody can relate to a smile, right? Everybody. Anybody, even the animals can relate to that. So in that same kind of aspect, it's universal. Everybody can relate because it works the same for everybody. If I tried to be kind, I'm going to be a happier person, and that applies to everybody. Okay. So the circumstances are not so important, but the important part is how we choose to adapt to the circumstances, how we choose to perceive. It's all about perception. Really. If you choose to perceive something in such a way, that's how you're going to react to it. Your attitude, right, is going to be based on how you choose to perceive things. Your state of mind is going to be based on your attitude. Or your attitude is going to be based on your state of mind. And that is affected by your choice. It's a choice. It's very easy to blame. Oh no, this happened, that happened, this person said this. But in the end, what are you doing? You're just trying to avoid taking responsibility. So it's good to be aware of all these things, and start now, to try to make an effort to improve. If you want to compare to somebody, compare it to yourself yesterday. If you want to compete with someone, compete with yourself yesterday. If you want to improve yourself. You can't change anybody. You can't even change yourself. You don't even know yourself, let alone how can you judge yourself? You don't even know yourself. You don't know how you're going to react when certain things happen in your life until they happen. And then when you react, you don't even know why you reacted that way. So that just shows how little we know. We don't even know what's going on in our body. First of all, we have no idea. We have no control over what's going on in our body. Why are we so obsessed on controlling life, in a sense, putting everything in a box, kind of like, just because that's a way of feeling secure, because we kind of like, we live like we're immortals, basically. We live like we're immortal, and our attitude is like, oh, I'm immortal, all of you are immortal, and that's it. That's our attitude in life. So, we cannot change ourselves, but we can give ourselves space, and we can create the intention for that change to occur. And through the example of that change, we can help others to change too. Correct? Would you agree on that? So anyway, I think that's a little bit my point of view in the modern Dharma. It's the same technique, but it's just that we tend to use it maybe in the wrong way. Right? And that's happened throughout the ages with all, like philosophies or religions. People have misinterpreted and misused it. But the essence is there and it's available. And if you're able to filter, what really works for you, then it can be very helpful and it can be really meaningful in your life. And also to the people that surround you. Because the first step of change is to be aware of your own bullshit. I'm sorry about my French. But it's true. It's true. You cannot, that is exactly what I'm talking about. Spiritual bypassing is that, You do not check yourself, before you wreck yourself. Okay, but I think it's very interesting, because tradition is also mixing with the Western culture. So something very fusion is starting to come out, which is very interesting. And I really love to be part of that, because I am Asian, I have a Tibetan point of view, I am very traditional, I grew up in Tibetan culture, my first language is Tibetan, most of my life I spent in the monastery with Tibetans, so I do have very traditional Oriental kind of aspect to life. And then I spent another 15 years in the West, living my own life. So I'm really happy to be a bridge of the West and the East. And I'm very happy to share what I have as much as I can. And so I'm learning, and as I go learning, I will share that. But I don't know much. I just know a little bit, and I learn little by little because I want to put in practice what I'm learning. I want to actually experience it before I share it. Otherwise, it doesn't make sense. It's just an interpretation of the interpretation of the interpretation, and then it just becomes, I am not the person qualified to talk about those things. Right? I'm just a friend. I'm not a guru, I'm not a teacher, I'm not qualified at all. Actually, I really don't know what I'm doing sitting here. But I'm happy to try my best to share my experiences if it can help you have a better life. It has definitely helped me. Dharma has definitely helped me a lot. And not just Dharma by itself, because that goes complementary to the life that we have. We have to be able to adapt the Dharma to our life. Otherwise, it doesn't make any sense. It's not about, it happened to me, I went to the master program in Italy, in Lama Tsongkhapa Institute. It's a 4 or 5 year course. One of the questions I asked is okay, so you're studying the intellectual concept, but do you meditate? And the answer was, I will find a cave when I finish my studies eventually in order to meditate. So it's already, it's like a far away thing, but already idealizing. Oh, I'll have a cave once I know, so already we're separating. We're not really, we're kind of already putting things in a bow, so it goes complementary, if you think about it, we are all really good meditators. We're professional meditators. We spend 9 months in the womb, all of us, meditating 24/7. And then we spend around a third of our life sleeping, which is a kind of meditation. So we are all expert meditators. You cannot deny that. So you have no excuse. But every moment in our life can be a meditation. It's just about being aware, being conscious, about our emotions. It's many times we allow these destructive emotions just to come in. We invite them as, they're uninvited guests. We allow them to take over. It's like a guest that comes at 3 a.m. in the morning in your house, starts banging the door. He's not even a family member. Even if it was a family member, you would look at them and you're like, what are you doing here at this time? Do you know what time it is, right? If he's a stranger, then even more, right? If even a family member, we're like, what are you doing here? Excuse me? It's 3 a.m. in the morning. Are you okay? Is everything okay? We're concerned for the person, right? But still, we're we don't open the door completely. We're just opening the door halfway, suspiciously. So with a guest that we don't know, that's how we act. We don't open the door at 3 a.m. to a stranger and be like, oh yes, please come in. Oh, would you like a piece of tea? Would you like some tea? Would you like some biscuits? The whole house is yours. You can do whatever you want. If you want to burn it down, you can do it. We don't do that to a guest, but why do we allow that? Why do we do that to the destructive emotions that appear uninvited? Why do we offer them that emotion full power to our body, to our mind? So that is a question we have to ask ourselves. Many times, just because we think we're right, then we allow anger to take over, and then we just think, we have the right to be angry and to shout, and spit is flying all over the place, and we're insulting, and then we are setting ourselves to feel really bad afterwards. At least if we have a conscience. Otherwise, I'm right, he's wrong, he has to apologize. I did the right thing. I put him in his place, or whatever, This idea of but that you are the one who's channeling that vibration. You are the one who's channeling that energy. Nobody else. When you talk, when you shout, when you talk bad, you're the one who channels that. That vibration, that energy stays in your body. We have a responsibility, we have billions of cells and life forms that are part of our body. And they are working 24/7 for us. They're at our service. This body is working tirelessly for us to be able to use it properly, right? And the only time that we remember the body, is when it's not working properly. Otherwise, we don't think about. That's why gratitude is very important. Starting with our body. Gratitude for the heart. The heart starts pumping 2 weeks after the fetus is conceived. 2 weeks later, and since then it never stops pumping the blood. The heart. How amazing! That is true love. That is love. That's why the heart represents love. Because of its unconditional, offering. Just like water. Water is love. It's pure. It always maintains its pure form, no matter how polluted it gets. It can always go back to its pure form. It will always give life, no matter what, unconditionally. And it will always adapt to whatever circumstances. You put it in a cup, it becomes a cup, right? That's what Bruce Lee says. Be wata, my friend. It's really true, actually. It's very true. So, yeah, that's what Dharma is telling us, And if we actually practice Dharma properly, then we'll be able to adapt to any circumstance or society or culture or, belief. So it doesn't matter the circumstances. It's your choice. Who you want to be, how you want to be, how you want to react. Based on your choice of how you want to perceive things. That's what Dharma is telling us. We have that choice. I can perceive things as something really positive. Even though most people may be, oh, that's really negative. But everything has a positive part. So if we observe that, if we focus on that, there's some negative aspect, we can use it as a means to learn and to improve. But don't take it personally. Don't absorb that, because it's not really helpful. Somebody says some harsh words to you, don't take it personally. Be aware that that person is in conflict. That person is suffering. And that's how he or she reflects that aspect. They're suffering, they're frustrated, they're unhappy, they're depressed. So the way they express that is through pain and anger. But if we take that energetic snowball and we throw it back, then all we're doing is just making it bigger, this negativity, toxicity. So how to neutralize that snowball is by recognizing, having that empathy towards that person, recognizing that they're suffering and giving them back love and understanding, recognition. Many people are only looking for recognition. Many people, all they want is for you to listen to them. That's it. Most of us don't know how to listen. One of the main aspects of communication is listening. Believe it or not, it's not talking, it's listening. Listening is an art. And I'm not saying listening to answer. I'm talking about listening to understand. There's 2 types of listening. There's one type of listening, okay, and the other person didn't even finish and you're already interrupting them to answer whatever it is. That's not listening. That's just imposing your ego. So, yeah, listening, very important. So many people, many times, all they want is for you to listen to them, to recognize them. That's it. To show that you're making an effort to understand them. That's it. So that's why many people, maybe I'm upset, I'm unhappy, and then somebody's upset and they say some harsh words, and then, that's already an excuse for me to throw all my shit on that person, for example, Completely unacceptable. Especially when it's very familiar people, maybe close friends, close family members. You know why? Because we know that they're going to forgive us. So we can say all kinds of things without any control, just let loose our emotions, because we know that tomorrow, everything will be okay. It's not always the case, but many times like that. And in Spanish we have a saying, la confianza da asco, which means trust is disgusting. Because it's true. Sometimes when you're very close to someone, you just have that trust where you just spill all your problems, all your shit on that person, because there's that trust. So so you also have to be careful with that aspect. Like your what do you call it? Couple, your pareja. How do you say? Your partner. With your partner many times. That's what happens. You get into a relationship. Maybe the first 2-3 months are amazing, really respectful. You're trying your best to appear that you're really awesome, right? So you're a different version. You're like a good version of yourself. Until you get used to the other person, and then suddenly you start getting lazy. You're like, oh, okay, it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter if they start seeing my bad habits. When I get nervous, I'm gonna start shouting. I'm gonna start, raising my voice like that because of that trust. That's, for me, it's very important. Whichever relationship, no matter what that you have with anybody, never pass that boundary. Always try to be humble. Always try to be patient. Always try to be grateful, forgiving, understanding, empathic. Those are the true values that we have. Those are the values that are really valuable. The interior values. That is the true gold. That is the true wealth. When you share it, it multiplies. Nobody can steal it from you. That's really yours. You get to keep it. When you die, you take it to the next life. You don't have to worry about somebody's going to steal it. On the contrary, when you share it, it multiplies. How amazing is that? Now that's a real wealth. That's the true values. They talk about, oh no, the true values, materialistic values. Why? But it's just a concept. We grasp towards that. Different types of grasping. There's attachment of a formless attachment to emotions, attachment to state of mind, like let's say adrenaline or sometimes what drugs help make you feel, or even like having a partner, and when that partner is present, the feeling that the presence of your partner makes in you. We get attached to that and we call it love. Oh, I love you. Oh no, you're in love with the feeling that they make you feel. That's what you're in love with. It's not love, it's attachment. And that's why we end up suffering. Oh, love is so bad, it makes me suffer so much. It's attachment that makes you suffer. Love doesn't have that, It's unconditional. It's universal. It's everywhere. Love is your body constantly working for you. Love is, life that was created. It's very complex to really pinpoint what love is. But we can have an idea, what love is. But for me, love is everywhere. Love is everything. It's, evolution is love, Karma can be love in a way. I don't know. I don't want to create confusion because I'm confused myself too, So but it's very difficult to really put love in a box. And we love to put things in boxes because that way we feel secure. We feel that we're in control. But if we can't even control what's in our body, why are we so obsessed in controlling life? Just flow with the river. There's no need to grab on a branch or on a rock and stay in one place. Life is changing. It's movement. That's what time is. Time is just a way to measure that change, that vibration. That's it. And somehow we are scared of change. But that's the whole life is that. It's about transformation. It's about change. So the best thing is just to go with the flow, to adapt and really make the best of your journey. That's what Dharma is talking about. No matter what the circumstances. Okay, there was another question. Was it you? Okay, 1, 2, 3. Okay, please. You first. No, please. After you. Okay, well, you choose. It doesn't matter.
I think that you have a unique opportunity to teach or embody that, merger of the East and the West, and which I appreciate. And I wondered what your needs are at this time in your life, because you're still young, and what we could do to help you.
Well, I think you have to. The most important aspect is help ourselves before we can help anybody else, because otherwise it's a useless help. Sorry to be so straightforward. For us, for me, I cannot help anyone if I don't work on myself first. I can't love anybody if I don't love myself. If I don't take care of myself, I can't take care of anybody. So how can I take care of my son if I don't take care of myself, right? It's like on a plane. If you're about to crash, what do? You put on the life vest first. Then you put the life vest to your kids, right? That's the rules. That's what they tell you every time you get on a plane. Why is that? right? It's because you have to start with yourself. So for me, the best help you can do for me is to really put in practice the Dharma, that His Holiness Dalai Lama talks about, that Lama Zopa talks about, that Ling Rinpoche talks about, that Song Rinpoche talks about, Ling Rinpoche, Kirti Sanjay Rinpoche, all these amazing, gurus, teachers that embody what Dharma is talking about, So basically to follow a lifestyle that not only is helping you to improve, but is actually creating the cause and the circumstances to be an example for other people to also improve in their life. For me, that is the best help you can do. That's how I see it. And I'm really grateful that I'm here, that I've been invited. It's an honor. But I don't really still follow very well what's happening. I'm still searching. I'm still trying to understand. I'm trying to know myself. But meanwhile, I'll also try my best to be of service. So, thank you so much for your question. And I'm really happy to be here and to be able to be part of this. Thank you. Thank you.
Hi, I have a question. So, basically, you receive an education in a monastery with a Buddhist education, and then you receive a Western education, and then you spend a lot of time in Asia as well in the West. So, in your opinion, what does it mean to be a good person?
What it means to be a good person?
What does it mean to be a good person? Because the cultures have different emphasis on what values they want to.
Definitely. So basically, a good person is the label is a good person. It's very easy to say, but how do you define a good person, right? So basically, how you would like to be treated, how you wouldn't want to be treated. That is where the starting point, right? I mean, of course, if you're a masochist, then it's a different story. Based on but in general, that's the concept, do I like to be spoken harshly? No. Why would I do that to somebody? Why would I speak to someone else harshly? Do I like to be treated with love and understanding and care? Yes. So that is how I would like to treat others. That's the starting point. But good and bad, that's how you relate to that concept, right? Starting from your own, experience. But also there's another aspect which is, we like to tend to say, the light and the dark, the good and the evil, the angels and the demons, blah, 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 like that. But actually, if you think about it, the demons are inside of us. The angels are inside of us. We are the ones who create it. It's not outside, it's inside. Right? We are the ones who choose to evolve or to de-evolve. And that's, for me, that's that dualistic point of view of good and evil, or whatever you want to call it. Black and white or whatever. It's about our attitude in life. Whether we make the choice to improve or to move backwards, So basically it's habits. We are creatures of habit. So if you choose to evolve, so to say, for example, like what you were saying, a good person, So the more effort we try to be a good person, starting with ourselves, then we are evolving. If we are mean, if we let the negative, destructive emotions to always take over, and we have this self-pity and me, self-centeredness and egoism, and we, like for example, we don't have that empathy towards others, and we do things in a very egoist way, then we are de-evolving because we are creating the cause for that habit. And because we're creatures of habit, the more we do something, the easier it is to repeat that. So from my perspective, it's a little bit like that. Okay, that's my point of view. It's good and evil, it's based on your attitude. Okay, many people say, there are ghosts outside, there's da-da-da-da. Don't whistle at night, you're calling the ghosts. It's like, okay, that's traditional concept. But you're the ones who choose who to feed. You can feed the demons or you can feed the angels. It's up to you. All the ancient wisdom, American Indian wisdom, they put the example as a white wolf and the black wolf. We have a black wolf, we have a white wolf. And we are the ones who choose which wolf to feed. You understand? And which wolf we choose to feed is the one that's going to prevail. That is the one who's going to take over in our life. Who's going to be the most present. So if you choose to feed the black wolf, then you're choosing to go into these low frequency vibrations that are only going to create harm and are going to make life more difficult for you and the people surrounding you. If you choose to feed the white wolf, all the true inner values, and you practice them, you really dedicate time and you observe your mind. You check your mind, you know. You analyze the mechanism of your mind. Oh, I got angry. Okay, how? Why did I get angry? Oh, I'm so attached to this. Why? What is it that I'm attached to? Why am I grasping? You know, to actually start investigating. The more you investigate, everything will start falling apart. You know, that solidity that we give it will start disappearing. You know, because the more you investigate, the more you observe, the more you realize that nothing exists from its own side. Nothing is independent. Everything is interdependent. Everything exists based on the interdependence of everything else. That's what emptiness, the concept of emptiness, that is what it's talking about. So the more we observe, the less solid things start to appear, and then we are able to be much more flexible. But we are ultimately the ones who choose which direction we want to take. We want to evolve, we want to de-evolve. That's basically, at least from my perspective, it's like that. Then there's many other aspects. You can, there's 100 million things you can come up with. But for me, that's the most important part. Start with yourself. And, it's never too late, but it's good to start now. Because we may act like immortals, but I think, we have to be aware that time is precious. We really have to use the time we have. This rebirth as a human is precious. We really have to use it properly. And it's never too late, like I said. We are all ancient. Age is not in the body, age is in the mind. My grandfather, he's 94 years old. By 8:30 every morning, he's in the bar having his coffee, his glass of water, and then he has a cognac and goes to work. So by 9, he's at work. He's 94. He's super happy guy, always joking, always making jokes, making everybody laugh. By 11 o'clock, he's back at the bar and he's having his glass of wine. I'm not encouraging you to drink alcohol. I'm just saying that it's not about the physical aspect. Youth is not a physical. I have friends who are 20 years old and their attitude is like they had 200 years. And I have friends who are 90 and their attitude is like a 15-year-old. That's something we have to be aware of. That's why perception is very important, And that's why if we are able to train our mind to learn how to perceive things in the right way, then we can have we don't give so much importance to negativity, We don't let that bring us down. It doesn't make us heavy. It's not a heavy thing that we have to carry around. If we have a trauma from a past life, if somebody did something happened, we can't be carrying that. We don't want it to be a weight on our back. We want it to be a lesson. So if we learn from it and we move forward, it becomes a lesson. And it stays like that. It's not a weight anymore. On the contrary, it's a factor that helps us evolve and learn and improve. And we can create the circumstances to help others also to overcome those difficulties. So everything is an opportunity if we're able to see it that way. Sometimes something happens in our life, we're like, oh, this is really bad. But maybe in the long run, we'll realize it's exactly what we needed in order to get out of our comfort zone. And if that hadn't happened, we would still be stuck there maybe. And we'd be suffering much more. There's also a song by Bob Marley that says, you think you're in heaven, but you're actually in hell. Right? So that's also a very important aspect. We have to be aware that we are in samsara, and the reality of samsara is suffering is temporary, and happiness, or what do you call it? Suffering and what is it? Not pleasure. Suffering and happiness. Will it be happiness? What's the opposite of suffering? Bliss? So it's temporary, basically. It's temporary. So why are we grasping so much? Why are we so attached? If we know it's temporary, we can just enjoy it while it's happening and really be present. Instead of grasping to the past and grasping to the future. We get a taste of something we like and we're already thinking about, oh, I want more. But instead of enjoying what we have right now. So all these aspects are just techniques that the Dharma talks about for us to have a better and happier life. But it's up to us to walk the talk. It's up to us to put it in practice. It's up to us, you know. Nobody else is going to walk the path for us. The Dharma is like a torch. It helps us to shine a light so that we know which way we choose to walk in. But we are the ones who walk. It's just helping us to choose the direction we want to go. And because everybody is different, we have to also see what works for us. Not everybody is going to relate to the same thing. Because we all come from different backgrounds. Yeah. More questions? Oh, wow. Very nice.
So how wonderful that you're with us, especially in this year that we're celebrating the 600th remembrance of the Parinirvana of Lama Jesom Kappa. So my question is, I'm wondering whether there's, in this point of your life, maybe some of the either writings or recorded conversations or speeches of either Lama Yeshe, or maybe there's other of the Nalanda masters, their writings who have kind of spoken to you and been helpful to you, that you might recommend for some of others in the Sangha as well.
Well, for me, what really teaches me is example. Okay, I can hear 100 million interpretations. It's not really going to mean much to me, at least because of my background. Since I was 14 months old, I've been bombarded with concepts and interpretations. So when I was younger, I said, "Oh, I'm Buddhist. I believe completely. I am Buddhist." I used to be very adamant about that, very clear. Then I turned about 12, and then I was like, "Why am I Buddhist? Do I really understand Buddhism? How can I be Buddhist if I don't understand Buddhism?" So I said, Am I an atheist? I said, no, I'm not atheist because I do believe in the philosophy. So I decided to label myself as agnostic, scientific, spiritual. So I don't see myself as a Buddhist, okay? But I am learning about Buddhism constantly, and I think probably all my life I'll be learning. Even the day I'm dying, I'll still be learning about the process of death. So for me, it's a process. It's not something you can just grab and, I am this, that's it. Because you are happening. You are being. It's a constant. So you can't just be like, I am this, or I am that. No, because you already moved on. You can't be like, I know everything. No, you don't know, because you are learning constantly. We are being bombarded by information that we have to interpret and make sense of it in order to relate to that reality that surrounds us. But if we don't have memory, how can we relate to that? So based on memory, we are relating to all the information we're receiving. So that information that we're receiving, we're learning about that information. So if you think, I know, then you're not wise. But if you say, I don't know, then you're wise, because then you are moving with change. You're moving with life. And that is the process of life. So for me, basically, the philosophy is really good, and I have a lot of faith in the philosophy, and it has helped me a lot, the teachings. But what really counts for me is example. And I think His Holiness the Dalai Lama and Lama Sopa Rinpoche and my teacher, Genla, who I grew up with, are the shining example for me, at least, to know that Dharma is real. Because I can read many books and I can read many things and hear many stories like that, but if I don't have the example, how am I supposed to even know that that's real? And the Buddha also said, at the time of the Buddha, when he taught, he always used to say, you have to question what I say. All the teachings you have to question. You have to doubt. Doubt is good. And the example he said is like a goldsmith checking whether it's real gold or not. That is the example he put. You have to be like a goldsmith checking whether it's gold or not with his teachings. A goldsmith, if you give him a piece of gold, he's not going to take the gold and be like, oh wow, this is precious metal. No. He'll take it and there will be a process of it testing that if it's real gold or not. So he'll burn it, he'll melt it, he'll scratch it, he'll do all this process. Once he's gone through that process, he'll be like, this is precious metal, this is real gold. And then he will value it. And he'll be like, this is a real deal. But there's a process to reach that point. And the Buddha and His Holiness, they always encourage this doubt, this questioning. Because that is the process of learning, of understanding. You can choose to get on a bus, fall asleep and go from A to B. But then you don't really know what that path was. You don't know how you got there. But if you can choose to, not take the bus and actually walk the whole distance, and then you will really be able to help others to get there. Even maybe blindfolded, you can even do it. I don't know, if you walk it enough times. But what I'm trying to say is that it's about your own experience. Okay, you can read, you can listen, you can go to this, to that, but in the end, it's up to you to walk it. People can carry you in a bus, in a helicopter, and you'll get somewhere, but you will not really know the process. You will not really know what that place is, because you haven't gone through the process of the self-experience, self-practice. So, like in Dharma, there's a practical meditation, analytical meditation, and they're complementary. And they say tap, shut up, and ngejung. It's 3 ways of techniques or aspects to get out of the samsara, of the cycle of life and death. One is the tap. It would be the method, the wisdom, the compassion, the bodhicitta, the empathy, the understanding. Humility, patience, all come there with compassion, together with compassion. The inner values, right? That's tap, the method, compassion. And then the shut up is wisdom, the understanding, the knowledge. So they're complementary, they go together. And then you need the renunciation. Renunciation is not like, I give up everything, now I'm going to suffer in order not to suffer. It doesn't work like that. I'm gonna really discipline, I'm gonna be really hard with myself because I don't want to suffer, but I'm suffering in the process. That's not renouncement, okay? Renouncement is understanding the reality of things. So for example, through the 5 senses, that's how we interpret everything, through the 5 senses. At least for now. So we are quite isolated, actually, within ourselves. The only way we can communicate is through the 5 senses, right? A smile, like a hug, or words, or music, or cooking, or art, whatever you want to, that's the way we communicate. Because inside we're isolated. Even though the ultimate reality is that there is no separation. But right now we're talking about the conventional reality, right? So in that aspect, the renunciation is to understand, to analyze, to question, So if you think about it, if you take away the 5 senses, reality has no shape, no color, no taste, no smell, no tact. Tact? No tactile. No feeling, right? It's, what is it? Think about it, the actual reality. And then what we see as reality is only the interpretation of the interpretation, right? Our brain, for example, we see something and we receive it in our brain upside down. Just an example. This is science, okay? And then our brain switches it around again. We are not aware of that process, but it's happening. And that's just one more process that we're not aware of. So already our interpretation is the information that our senses transmit to our brain, and then we interpret it through the brain. So already there's different, places it has to go through. So already what we are interpreting has nothing to do with the actual original object. The perceiver is perceiving an interpretation of that object, but it's not really understanding the reality of that object. So when you start to analyze that, then you are able to create more renunciation, because you don't get so attached, you're not so grasping, you're not so, suffering because you want more or you want less of something. Because that is the conditioning. We create the conditionings throughout our lifetime, and even from many past lives, by reacting to the sensations that we perceive in 3 different ways: attraction, rejection, or indifference. And that is the condition. That is, in Sanskrit they call it the Shankara. So we are trying to be equanimous to what we perceive in order not to react, in order not to create conditionings. And that's going to make us happier people, because we'll be able to relate to the reality in a much more realistic way. So that's a little bit what renunciation is talking about. And I forgot your question. Oh yeah, what did I learn about? So the living examples, that was it. Yeah. So for me, really, what really counts, much more than the philosophy itself, which is amazing, when you put it in practice. Just the concept, it's like a bulb without electricity. For me, what really inspires me is the example, the shining example of His Holiness the Dalai Lama, Lama Zopa Rinpoche, my gurus at least, my teachers. But you see, even then already I'm saying already I'm creating an attachment, already I'm creating conditioning, you see? So we really have to be careful with all these aspects, But for me, it's big inspiration. And my teacher, he was just so compassionate, so considerate, so patient with me when I was a kid. I was so naughty. I was such a rebel, Really. And he was so patient with me, year after year after year after year. So for me, that really means, that's really what inspires me, the example. And there's many people like that, many true practitioners who are so humble, so discreet. And it's just amazing. Even I know people who are suffering so much, who have really difficult conditions in their life. They're suffering so much, but when they relate to people, they give the best of themselves. What they share is the best of themselves. Sometimes, like for me, that happens, I have great, human rebirth. But then sometimes I'm in my mind, going around, Then I meet someone and I share the worst of me, this and that, I have this problem, I have that problem. And then I bring down the person. The person feels bad after that, It's like, why? That's so good. Then I feel even worse than before. Then sometimes it's good, if you have close friends who love you, who understand you, who care for you, it's good to talk about your problems, if they're willing to also listen, so that, because that's for me, today in society, there's so many people in capitalism like that, there's a lack of empathy, so we do need psychologists, psychiatrists, psychotherapists, psychoanalysts and all this. We do need it because huge populations, a lot of, egoism and selfishness and unempathy and all that. But the real psychologists are your friends, people who care for you, who know you, and who will listen to you, That doesn't mean that we're just going to be talking about our problems every day, all the time. And it's good a little bit, but don't overdo it. Because otherwise we go into this cycle of self-pity, and then we're just feeding the low frequency vibrations more, and we're not really getting out of that. So don't project what you fear, don't project what you don't want, because that's what you're going to attract, right? So you want to project what you want to create that reality. So for me, I admire very much those people who are suffering so much, but when they interact with people, they give the best of themselves. That for me is very inspiring. Okay, maybe we can do a short break. How is that? Would that be good?
It finishes at noon, so
What time is it?
we can stop
It's
there.
almost 12. Okay, we'll still do a PP break, and then we'll do a couple more questions. There's about, 3, 4? We can still go a little bit further than 12, right? It's good to have a break, so we just settle down, And I mean, I have to go to the bathroom too, so it's just an excuse. It's an excuse. I'll be sincere. Okay, so I'll be back in 5 minutes. Okay, thank you. So I believe you had a question, right?
Yep.
Yeah.
So you've talked a little bit about evolution, I guess de-evolution, and it's just kind of interesting it'd be interesting to hear from your perspective, especially with being considered a reincarnation and how you kind of view that, and maybe the way you think about that or thought about that, or that spectrum.
You mean how I relate to the concept?
Yeah, how you relate
Of
to it, or how you
reincarnation?
understand it, or do you? And if you look at evolution from a function of across a handful of different lifetimes, how you do you perceive it?
I mean, first of all, we are all reincarnations.
Yep.
We've been reborn in the cycle of life and death for forever, basically.
Yep.
I mean, I don't know if you can actually really measure it, but in the Dharma, they relate to all sentient beings as your mother.
Yep.
All mother sentient beings. That's a very well-known phrase in Dharma. And the reason they mention the mother is because the love of the mother for the children is unconditional. So because we've been living and being reborn and dying for so long, we have been each other's mother numerous times already. So even an ant, a bug, a mosquito, an animal, a human, whoever it is, at one point in time, they were your mother and you were their mother. That is what Dharma is saying, all mother sentient beings. So by saying that, you can relate to that unconditional love for everybody. Up to there, it makes sense, right? Do you follow that? So we are all reincarnations. So basically, it's just, we just basically, I don't know. For in my case, in my life, I grew up within that kind of bubble, let's say. So it was like a normal thing for me until I became much older, and then I was like, wow, this is weird. But only later, when I actually left the monastery after I was 18 and everything, and I tried to relate, to that concept, and I was like, wow, that's very strange, But until I didn't leave, it was a normal thing. It's just part of my life. That's who I was. So, yeah, I mean, I think in life, the perspective is changing a lot, because we are changing also. So our point of view of life changes also. And the same way we also change body, we are here. Earth is like in a school, in a library, and we're here to learn. And there's a process that we have to go through in order to reach that understanding, in order to go to the next process. So it's just a process. I mean, it's not a big deal. Oh, reincarnation, everybody's a reincarnation. It's not a big deal. As a matter of fact, Lama Yeshe's past life, he was a nun. He was a nun abbess. An abbess of a nunnery. That was Lama Yeshe's past life. And Lama Yeshe, for example, he never got his Geshe degree, so he never got his doctor degree. But so the reincarnation, normally reincarnation tuku is based on a high lama if you're an abbot, or you're, if you're Geshe, big, high, very recognized. So mainly they only recognize me as reincarnation because of Lama Yeshe's disciples. Because of all the Western disciples he had and the organization that he had founded and built. So based on that, as a reincarnation, it had a little bit of weight, but it's just conceptual. I wouldn't give so much importance to that, at least in my case. But it has been a challenge. It has been a challenge to be able to differentiate who I really am and what people project on me and expect me to be. So that has been a huge challenge, which I'm still working on today and learning about also. So, but thank you for that question. It's a good question. Thank you. Okay, more questions or subjects.
Thank you. Pues Ösel, estoy bien agradecida que tú nos has venido a ver y visitar aquí en San Francisco. Era un sueño por mucho, mucho tiempo que tú vinieras. So I'm just saying I'm very happy that he's here. I'm very grateful that he finally came to San Francisco because it's been a long lifetime dream that he come. So, gracias. Pues, siguiendo la conversación, or following the conversation that you just had.
¿Cuál conversación?
Con el señor aquí. Para nosotros, for us, you are a very special person. I don't think any of us can help that perspective.
It's just a projection.
Yeah. and it's a projection.
Everything is special. Everybody is special.
Yeah, of course.
Maybe some are more special than others. From our perspective. Sorry.
So yeah, so we can agree on the perspective.
Yeah.
But I think it's so important for us because we also have tremendous respect for Lama Yeshe, Lama Zopa Rinpoche, His Holiness the Dalai Lama. For us, they're crucial. They're so important to our lives and our future lives and past lives and what have you, right? So that's why I think we have such high respect, regard for you. Also, yes, I think I feel that it has been a challenge for you, and I think I'm very grateful that you've been working with those challenges and kind of overcoming, because I think you could have just kind of got into yourself and we'd have no connection with you. But, in the last few years, you've come out, you've been teaching, and I know that you don't want the label of teacher, and I think that's good because it leaves it very open. Again, you don't want the label of guru, and it leaves it very open for us. You say you're our friend. So I think one of the things that I'm kind of struggling with is that the rules for relating to one's guru are very much defined, but I don't think they're so defined to a friend, such as yourself. So I'm trying to figure out, well, how do we relate to you? I think someone asked, well, how could we help you? But the fact is that you're actually helping us.
It's vice versa.
Yeah, so what, I guess, how do we relate to our friend?
Good question. I was going to say something funny, but then I forgot. Maybe I wasn't supposed to say it. It's a little bit challenging in the sense of breaking projections, because that's a little bit my job. I'm it's difficult to explain. First of all, thank you so much for your words. They're very inspiring, and I'm very happy that I can be of service. Yes, I don't feel that I teach because I don't feel I'm qualified to teach. And yes, I'm very grateful to Lama Yeshe. He's my best friend. I have difficulty with myself because it's a huge challenge, It's a huge challenge, and I'm working on it. But I'm happy to share my small understanding of the way that I interpret the teachings of the Buddha. So I'm happy to be here and to be of service, and I really hope I can make a difference. And I still forgot what I was going to say, but anyways, so maybe it's better I don't say it. So. Tashidle, what is your name?
Ngaon Chirag.
Ngaon Chirag. I thought you were Tibetan. Do you speak Tibetan?
It's happened, yeah.
You speak Tibetan?
Na Puke Shegi too.
Puke Shegi. Da ani kiran de San Francisco la Gyuri Mudose.
Uman Changchu Chilling, or that's Kopan. Tupten Chilling. Tupten Chilling. Tulsi Grambache.
Trubude.
Tulsi.
Trubude. Semba Kibude. Semba Kibude. Are you happy? Is your mind happy?
Oh, yes. Also, Shiva.
Good.
And peaceful.
Very good, very important.
And I just wanted to say hello and remind Zina Hakusonge? Zina Rashevsky?
Yeah.
I remember you from Kopan. Remember Zina from Kopan. I mean Max Matthews, Kopan. Lama Tupinyeshi, Kopan. So that's where we all came together, was at Kopan. Kathmandu. Kopan. Omen Changchu Chuling. So, yeah. Very nice to see you. You look well. You look healthy.
Thank you. I wanted to go back to the question before,
Which is?
talking about reincarnation and tuku and the concept like that. So, for me, there has been a huge separation in my life. It's been like a dualistic kind of concept, because I've been trying to identify like myself with what people would label on me, right? So people say, oh, I'm tuku, I'm this, I'm that, I'm the reincarnation of such an amazing person, and like that. And then my destiny is to teach Buddhism as a monk sitting on a throne. For most of my childhood, that was what I was meant to be doing. So it's been a challenge for me to really kind of say, okay, who am I? Am I what they say I am, or am I what I feel that I am from inside? And what I feel that inside, I'm a person who has a lot of challenges, a lot of conflict, a lot of difficulty, a lot of suffering. I struggle with depression. I struggle with emotional, activities of anger and, all these different aspects that happen. And thanks to Dharma, yes, I try to be aware of it. I try to put it in check. I try to recognize it. I try to apologize. I try to change and move forward and improve. But it's still happening. It's still there. So I don't see myself as some, qualified, realized, or whatever you want to call it, in reincarnation at all. Okay, maybe when I was younger I believed it. But when I became realistic, I was like, you know what, this is not who I am. I'm sorry. I'm just a normal human being struggling with life. That's it. I have a different background because I grew up in a monastery and I had to study 16 hours a day, 6 days a week for 15 years. Well, I didn't start with 16 hours, but they started adding them up. I started with maybe 8 hours a day when I was 6 years old. When I was 16, 15, I was already studying 16 hours a day, sometimes 18 hours a day. But so that's my background, my language, the culture, the tradition that I come from. But I never accepted people to impose their reality on me in that way. I'm not going to fall into a box for you. I'm not going to play your game because I cannot make you happy. I can try to make you happy, but you are the only person responsible to make yourself happy. So I discovered a long time ago that I could try to play people's game. Oh, okay, I'm the reincarnation. I'm going to act like a reincarnation. I'm going to fake perfections. Oh, but nobody will be happy because that's just the nature of the mind. So long time ago I decided, you know what, I'm not going to strive to try to fall into people's concepts of what I should be or how I should be. I'm just going to live my life. I'm going to be who I feel that I'm becoming. Because it's a process, it's a change, so I'm always learning new aspects of myself. So anyway, so that's what I decided. I decided I'm not going to, play your game. So I'm not going to fall into a box. I'm not going to allow people to label me and project on me and expect me to do what they want me to do in that aspect. Like, for example, just an example, okay? One time, like for me, I like to party. I like to go out and sometimes drink some alcohol. My father said always, with moderation, everything is okay. Don't go to the extremes. Then it can be, even water can harm you. If you drink too much water, your stomach is going to explode. So anyways, it's not a justification. I don't really need to justify to anybody. I'm not a monk, but I like to enjoy myself, At the same time that I like to learn, I like to have a balance in my life. So anyways, going straight to, I don't want to justify. So okay, yeah, I drank alcohol. Not too much, but I did. So anyways, a woman, Asian woman, very traditional woman, somehow smelled my breath the next day because I didn't sleep that night. I was still, active within, the community and going to the teachings and this and that, blah, blah, blah. I wanted to do everything, so I didn't have time to do everything. So anyways, I'm making myself very vulnerable here. So, just what? Yeah, yeah. But anyway, so she said, oh, a lama is not supposed to drink alcohol. That's what she said, her words. And I immediately answered back. I said, if you can find one time in my life that I said I am a lama, I'll do whatever you say. I never said I'm Lama. Ever. Maybe when I was a child, I was 4 years old, I was a tyrant. I was like, I'm Lama, you have to do what I say. Maybe at that time, yes, okay, but since I grew up a little bit more, I never said I'm Lama. On the contrary, I said I'm not a Lama, I'm just a struggling human being trying to improve as a human. And I'm going to try my best to be able to give the best of me. But you have to understand that, I'm just one more person with difficulties. So anyway, so that's what I tried. I tried to explain to her that, but she wouldn't understand. She's like, no, you're a Lama, you can't drink alcohol, it's so bad. And then she didn't talk to me ever again. After that, she hated me. She even took me away from Facebook. What do you call it? Unfriended me. It's funny, but actually I cried for half an hour after that. I got on a bus by myself and I left and I was crying for half an hour. It was really sad. But that's part of my life. I have to accept those preconceptions of people being imposed on me, even though they don't. That woman knew me for 2 minutes of my life, but somehow she felt she had the right to impose her perspective on my life and really be aggressive about it. And now I'm really sensitive, so for me it really affected me. But after I cried, the crying is also therapy, so I cried, and then after I was like, you know what, that's her point of view, that's her belief, I respect that, maybe it's better that I don't drink alcohol when there's activities of, Dharma activity. I mean, I am a rebel, I've always been a rebel. Yeah, thank God, right? But so anyways, I've always been struggling to try to make sense out of this concept of tuku and reincarnation and Lama. But anyways, just to make sure I will not fall into that box. I made that decision a long time ago. I'll try to offer my services, but my way. I am Ösel, and that's it. That's who I am. And I'm not going to try to impose anything on anybody, because I respect. I love, I care. I want to see who you are. I don't want to impose my projection on you and be like, you are this, and that's what I'm going to believe. That's what I'm going to see. And if you don't act according to my projection, then you're a bad person. You're an ungrateful. After everything we did for you, you left the monastery. I'm sorry, okay? I'm sorry. I'm just talking from my heart, okay? I'm trying to answer your question, actually, so it's your fault. You're the one responsible. No, I'm joking. Okay, so, yes, please, question 1, 2.
You mentioned a few minutes ago that you're familiar with depression.
Oh, yeah.
And it seems like half this country is on medication for depression. And at least. And I'm no stranger to that, and it's in my family. And I'm curious, just from your perspective, what's helpful for you when that's happening?
So for me, the only thing that helped me when I was depressed was time and space. That for me is the only solution. And of course, friends, people who care for me. In many situations, some people don't have friends, they don't have family, they're just completely alone. And in that case, it can be really difficult, you can really struggle. Because we need human warmth, the warmth of company. We are, if you look at our ancestors, for thousands of years we've been living in communities. We shared the same cave. We'd all be snoring and farting together every night. It's true. It's true. So it's in our genes to share. And today in society, it's happening. We're isolating ourselves more and more. In Paris, I was in one apartment of a friend of mine, and she had been 20 years in that apartment, and she didn't know the neighbor who she shared the wall with. 20 years living, and they hadn't spoken. They'd maybe seen each other a couple times, maybe said hello, that's it. But they didn't know each other, and they've been sharing the same wall for 20 years. Okay, maybe the telephones, they connect us more. But they also disconnect us a lot. Back in the days when you had no telephone, you would say, okay, I'm going to meet Jorge or George or whoever it is. And I have this and this. I want to talk about this. I want to say that. So you actually really try to remember everything you want to say, so that when you meet the person, you're able to express and exchange that, the communication. So when that person is in front of you, you really value their presence, because you don't know when you're going to see them again, right? Now with the phone, you can write and text a message anytime. So when you see someone, you don't really value their presence. Half of the time we're probably on our phone while we're talking to somebody in person. So we just have to be aware that, okay, you can use the technology we have, like Facebook or phone or whatever it is, social media, to connect to people, but not as a means to distract ourselves and further ourselves from ourselves. Many times we're trying to be happy, and we know that true happiness is within ourselves. But somehow we search all our life outside, knowing that there's no happiness there. We know it, but we still do it. We've been wired that way. So in the case of depression, for example, it has many different, what do you call it? Conditioning, like aspects, causes, or conditions, like points. Aspects, yeah, could be aspects, but more than aspects, it's yeah, anyways, all of that, okay, it has and so yeah, of course, one is the attitude. Your attitude is a big factor. Factor is the word I was looking for, sorry, factor. So the attitude is a big factor, state of mind, the way we choose to perceive life. Okay, so self-pity, self-centeredness can be a huge factor of depression. If we're too self-centered, then it's much easier to be depressed. It's all about me. So if something bad happens, huge. Right? Because it's all about me. But if we have gratitude, if we have empathy, if we're aware of others, then that part, that aspect of poor me, would not have so much strength and presence. So it's also a way. It's also one of the factors is the way we see it, the way we choose to perceive our situation in life. So, for example, if we're optimists, then we can use any aspect for our own advantage, for our own kind of evolution. So many times I have been, in many cases, so depressed. For example, recently, for me, I idealized this concept of the family. The mother and the father together, loving each other, a team, super harmonious, raising the child together, loving him, and giving the best of themselves for the child. That was my idealization. Why did I have that idealization? Because in my whole life, I only saw my father and mother together one time. One time. And they were both looking at me and smiling. That one time when I was taken to the monastery in Serra, at my enthronement, both my father and my mother were together. The only time I've ever seen them together, looking at me and smiling. Couple minutes. That's it. But I got so attached to this concept that I really wanted to offer that to my son. I wanted to give the best. So everything that I needed in my childhood, which I didn't have, I wanted to offer that to him. So I was really obsessed about being together and having a family together and loving the child. But the reality was completely the opposite. This really toxic relationship, very self-centered also from my side. I mean, I don't want to blame the other person. I need to take responsibility also. I reacted in a bad way many times. So anyways, it got to a point where we both decided that our relationship was not so important. Our ego was secondary. The most important is the son, Norbu, our kid. We want to give the best to him. So the love for him overcame all the problems, all the conflict, all the ego, all the blaming and all the toxicity kind of disappeared because we focused on how can we give the best to Norbu. So basically she dumped me. And I had to adapt to that. So I tried my best. I did. But for 8 months, I was in really deep depression. Really, really deep depression. Because so she moved to Valencia. So I moved to Valencia too, but so we organized an apartment for her, but I was just like hanging. I was hoping that she would take me back, like. But anyways, it was meant to be like that, you know. So at that time, I remember I had times when the whole night I'd be like deep depression, crying, and I couldn't sleep for many nights. And when you are in that darkness, so difficult to see the light. It's almost, you know, and all you can see is your just very negative, toxic mentality, and you just feed off of that, and it just becomes a cycle. So how to get out of that? How to suddenly, you know, overcome that? That is a very difficult situation. And for me, the only thing that helped was time and space. I just had to go through it. For me, that is how it worked. I did not take pills, or I did not take medicine or pharmaceutics at all. I tried to have hummus. Do you know what hummus is? Hummus. Hummus. What is hummus made of? Chickpeas. So chickpeas are actually, they make you happy. They are, no, really, I'm not joking. It's true. They're 10 times more effective than Prozac. Chickpeas, well, in quantity, so like hummus, you know, it makes you happy. That's what I understood when I studied cooking. So it's one of the tips that I got. So I try to, one of the very important factors about depression is nutrition, exercise, state of mind, attitude, perception, and activities to be accepted, to have a functional role in society. So if we don't have any of that, we most definitely will be depressed, and we'll probably blame everybody else for that. And that will make us even depressed, because we'll be, I'm so lonely, nobody loves me, and we'll just go round and round and round. So all these factors are factors that we have to be aware of, starting with the nutrition. Many times if you don't drink enough water, you will be depressed because your brain is not going to function properly. So drinking water is very important. Being aware of your lifestyle, being aware of all these aspects. The small details make up the big details, so start with the small details. But yeah, for me, also what helped me a lot was the support of my friends, of the people that really love me. You know, people who know me, really know me. I encourage you to get to know me. Not so much the Lama Ösel part, but actually know me as a human. And that's interesting. And I feel that my job, my mission, kind of like is not so much to teach Dharma on a throne as a monk, representing the institution and the religion like that. It's more about how to branch out, how to, reach people who have no interest in Dharma or in Buddhism or in religion, how to reach people who are suffering and offer them something that can help them to be happier and to improve their life. That's it. I don't have any other agenda apart from that. Starting with improving myself. If I don't love myself, if I don't work on myself, how am I going to help anybody? It's ridiculous, right? So, anyways, I hope that answered your question. It took me a while, and when I got out of the depression, then I was able to look backwards and say, okay, it's been very difficult, but everything has a solution. As long as you have that. You try to just, hope. Hope is a very important factor in our life. Faith, hope, love, gratitude. Gratitude is the base of a happy life. The cornerstone. Okay, what else? Yes. 1, 2, 3. Okay, we'll do 3 more questions and that's it, okay? So 1, 2, 3. Is that fine? Anybody else? No, right? Okay, 4. 4 questions, okay?
Thank you for coming here and speaking to us. I'm going to share a little bit because, we're all friends here. So the last year of my life has been both probably the best and the worst moments of my life. It revolved around work and family, but the biggest part of that was actually a relationship that was the most intensely, what felt perfect relationship that ended very, very badly as well. And at the same time, work stuff was happening anyway. I resigned from work. Right now, I'm trying to take some time to self-heal and self-care. So many of the things that you spoke about today has touched and answered, and I feel like it's guiding so many aspects of everything that I've been going through the last several months. About detaching from the wants or the feelings that I felt before, and being patient, knowing how to manage people, deal with people like my ex-girlfriend a little bit better. So a little background, she had borderline personality, so it was either perfect, I was the perfect person in the world, or suddenly by the end she, couldn't sit next to me while we're eating because I made too much noise with my mouth. So,
see, that's a mind.
Yeah, but it was
searching for problems.
I'm just starting to let go of, mourning the loss of the life that we had both imagined together. Even my closest friends thought I met the perfect person for me, but it wasn't so. So I'm learning that it wasn't what I believed it was.
Okay.
But I guess the one part that I still have a question is, we talked about patience, about loving unconditional love, because my mind is looping kind of the way you mentioned before. I can't help but think, so what if I had met her later in life after I'd have already learned to be even more patient, to be my best self. If you're in a relationship, and it could be, let's say, family, a relationship, or someone that you are not attached in life with, at what point do you think about how to cut yourself off of that relationship?
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, let me just start with your first, because I had to write down, otherwise I forget what you're talking about. Because I really want to talk about everything that you're talking about, because I think it's a really important factor in everyday life, and we all struggle with that aspect. So, first of all, let me just clear up something. Idealization is not a very good idea. Okay, because we're setting ourselves up to be disappointed. Because we create this kind of concept that doesn't exist. It's unrealistic. First of all. And of course, there is a chemical attraction, chemical falling in love. So physically, there's a chemistry that lasts for around 3 years. Once that chemistry finishes, then you have to deal with the aspect of a relationship, the real deal. Up to that point, it's like, oh, everything's beautiful. Oh, I'm in love. Everything's amazing, beautiful. I love my life. I'm super happy. And then suddenly things start changing, So, because of that chemical aspect. So, how to continue that? How to really maintain that? So, basically, from my experience, I think friendship is the base to start any relationship. And if that relationship finishes, to always maintain that friendship no matter what. That's the valuable thing that you're going to take away from that relationship, right? That you're going to keep. And all the lessons that you've learned from it. And for me also, I think as a householder or having a relationship is a great opportunity to learn many different aspects of ourselves. So it really challenges us to confront all these aspects that we wouldn't have to confront if we were by ourselves. It's much easier to live alone and to just, be easygoing with ourselves. But if there's somebody there challenging us every day, checking us, looking at every single mistake you do, every single, just blaming you for everything, just how do you transform that? So if you have gratitude, if you have empathy, then you understand, the other person is suffering. That is the way they're expressing themselves. You understand? So that it's very important to see it from the other person's reality, so we can put ourselves in perspective with their reality. Because if we try to relate to their reality based on our reality, or our experience or our perception, it's not gonna come together. because it's so different. Each person's perspective and reality is so different. So that's why it's very important to put yourself in the other person's place, always to come from an empathic, grateful attitude, So when you lose control, like for example, maybe it's like, okay, that person is shouting, I'm going to count till 50, and if they're still shouting, then I'm going to shout back. And after 50, they're still shouting, you're like, shut up! And then after you feel so bad, right? And because you had to channel that energy. And it wasn't your energy in the first place. You're just reacting to something because you're taking it personal. Because you relate to your ego in that way, even though the ego itself doesn't exist. It's just this concept of me, who I am. So based on that concept, we're reacting in a way. And we are reacting by giving back what we don't like receiving. So if that person is shouting to me, why would I shout to that person if I don't like it? Why would I do something that I don't like to somebody else? Do you understand that? So that's why a relationship is really a huge opportunity to improve and to start to really learn about your own conflict, your own bullshit, basically, And so, for example, for me, the relationship with the mother of my son, basically, it has been a process. We separated about a year ago, and only until maybe a month ago were we able to really reach a point where we are friends. Well, friends, friends, we can call it friends, and we don't really talk much. We try to avoid really talking. If we talk, we only talk about Norbu, that's it, Because it's still very fresh. At least for me, I'm still very affected by it. And of course, I have, I'm attached and I have this idealization concept. So it's been a process for me to accept and understand that it wasn't meant to be, and it's much better like that. So we are friends. I live next door. We take turns, taking care of Norbu. So she has him 2 weeks. I have him 2 weeks. During the summer, we take turns 1 month and 1 month. But while he's with her 2 weeks, I can see him anytime I want. And if she needs me to take care of him, I'm there because I live 3 minutes away. So I got an apartment next to her apartment. So the school is, the kindergarten is right in between her house and my house. So probably if we didn't have his son, we probably would have broken up 2 months after, and that was it. The only reason we stayed together was because she got pregnant. Because we really don't get along. We have absolutely nothing in common. We have nothing to talk about together. We're just totally different people, and with a huge age gap also, huge culture difference, So I think we just got together to have Norbu. And that's it. And then we just moved on with our lives. For me, it was really difficult, that transition. But once I made the transition, I realized that I was much happier. Because of all the, the process of learning about myself and understanding and accepting myself. Because in many aspects, I asked her, why don't you want to be with me anymore? And her answer was, she doesn't love me and I'm not enough for her. And that really affected me, because I was like, but why? But in the end, I realized that there's nothing to understand. There's nothing to understand. Each person is the way they are, and that's it, there's nothing to understand. Why is it that person that way? That's none of my business, actually. I can try to help. I can try to be an example of what I would like to receive. So that's basically what I did. I just tried to be a friend to her. I tried to give the best of me. And that's it. And even though when I see her, it still hurts a lot, and I do get depressed. Like after, even we just talk for 2 minutes, just really affects me still. So I try to avoid seeing her, at least for now, unless we have to, take the kid, or, if she's got a work job, and then, I have to come pick up the kid. So we'll be like, hello, how are you? Oh, good, okay. Oh, bye. That's it. That's all we're going to talk about. How's Norbu? Did he sleep well? What color caca did he do? No, I'm kidding. No, but it's important factor, to understand. Or what did he eat? Did he eat well? Like that. So basically, our conversations are only about Norbu. It's not about, me, or about you, or you did this, I did that, nothing. We try to avoid that. So through that process, I also learned how to love myself, because in most of my relationships, I only learned how to love myself through the other person. So having to accept the fact that I was alone and I could not raise my son together with the mother forced me into having to love myself. I mean, I understood love when I had my son. I understood love in a much better, clearer way, because through his unconditional love for me, reading, But so that's why relationships are a huge stepping stone in learning and experience, and eventually, if we center ourselves, if we're comfortable with ourselves, if we love ourselves, and if we are our best friend, then we'll create the cause to attract the right person into our life. But if you feel lonely alone, you will feel lonely with anybody else also. That's how it is. If you don't learn how to be your best company, then you'll be lonely always with anybody and anywhere. If you're unhappy with your mind, with yourself, wherever you go, whatever circumstances you create in your life, whoever you are with, you'll be unhappy. That's why the first step is to understand that reality within yourself, that mechanism, to recognize. So sometimes life brings us these challenges that force us to learn and process that. And then in the long run, it's huge. So for me, I'm so grateful that she dumped me. Because thanks to that, I've matured so much. I've become much stronger. I've become much more, resilient. And I've learned how to love myself because I had no choice. I had, now what? I can't love myself through somebody else. I can't be loving myself through my son. I have to learn how to love myself by myself. So it put me in that situation where I had no choice. So I use that as a positive aspect to improve, to be a happier person. So that's my advice based on my experience. I hope it helps. Yeah. So who is the next? You. Okay, here.
Thank you so much for your words. I have 2 questions. I'll make it quick.
Okay.
I work with parents who have lost their children to Child Protective Service for drug addiction, alcoholism, and mental health here in San Francisco. So I really like what you said about being interested in connecting with people who may not know anything about Buddhism, the Dharma. So what would your recommendation be to engaging these folks? So that's my first question.
Okay.
And
Can
then
I answer that first?
Sure.
Okay. Don't forget the next questions, okay? Otherwise, I'll forget the first questions.
Okay.
Of course, first of all, it's the example, who you are. If you are the shining example of loving kindness and patience and humility in the most stressful situations, that already is going to be like, wow, what does that person have that I don't have? I want to know why she's so happy all the time. Why is she giving the best of herself? So that is going to create that curiosity. So you can't really impose your perception on somebody. Oh, you should do that. It's going to be good for you. It's good for you. I'm trying to help you. And then if they don't listen, you get angry. Oh, my intention was to help them. They don't appreciate my help. Oh, it does happen a lot. It happens to me. I get frustrated with my mother sometimes. Try to talk to her and she just turns everything around, against me. It's like I'm like, what I'm doing, and then I get really angry, But then I understand. So she helps me to see that aspect, that pride in me. Just because my intention is try to help, if the other person doesn't appreciate it, then I get resentful. Why? If my intention was really to help, I wouldn't be affected. If they don't understand, if they don't care. My intention was not only just to help. My intention was also to look good and to feel good about myself and to be like, oh, I'm so cool, I'm so important. I'm helping people with, improving their life. So it's not really unconditional. It's not really pure form. It's not really the actual motivation. So talking is good, but I think the example is really what will help people. Then, if people ask you, then you can offer. Because many times people, if you try to tell people, help people, they don't want help, unless of course they ask for help. So it's going to be much more productive in that way. Otherwise you may get frustrated. At least from my experience, it's the case. Another aspect also, like what to say. What to say would be more like very simple aspect, like because everybody wants to be happy. So what is the key to be happy? So gratitude is first step. Second step, empathy. Third step, motivation. Not self-centered, egoist motivation, but an actual, what do you call it? Kind of like to help others attitude. Altruism. Yeah. Thank you. So that very simple aspects that everybody can relate to. That helps a lot. Okay? So what's your next question?
So my next question is, I have a 2.5-year-old daughter. It's right up until I found out I was pregnant, I thought my practice and my studies, my meditation was going really well. Yeah. And then she came into this world, and the last 2.5 years have been amazing. I've learned so much about love, but it's also been really trying. Her meltdowns and everything she's supposed to do when she's 2.5 years old. It's been trying. So my question is, what is your recommendation to discipline and also continue my own practice when I'm sleep deprived?
Okay. So number one, I'm going to answer the same answer for the second question. The example. Especially with children. With children is even more. They will learn from what they see. So you can tell them 100 times, be a good boy, be relaxed, eat your food, don't shout too much, don't, hit anybody. Because my son sometimes bites me and really hard, I'm like, no. Like, it's okay. And then he bites me again. I'm like, But I don't know where he learns from biting. I never bit him, A little bit, I bite his toes sometimes. And then he laughs. No, anyways, to go to the point. If you want a child to be the perfect version of your idealization, then be the perfect example for him to learn from. And make sure that the people that he comes in touch with are also an example. That is the challenging part, okay? And also a challenging part if you're living with your partner, many times you'll forget about the kid and you like get really involved in your emotions and these trauma or the weight you get, it starts, building up, and in this moment where, boom, the straw that broke the camel's back, right? And then you explode and you have the right to explode. And then maybe the kid, he sees that. And then he learns from that. Next time, he's going to make a huge tantrum or he's going to shout or whatever to make his point, because that's what he learns from the adults. So discipline, I think, first of all, is to always be the example, to always be patient, always try to be what you want them, embody what you want to offer them, embody what you want them to learn. That would be the first step, for me, at least from my experience. And then, of course, with my son, I always talk to him like an adult. I explain to him things. I'm not like, no, don't do that. No, it's bad. No. I don't do like that. I'm like, hey, what do you think? Do you think that's bad? Or do you think that's good? And why you shouldn't do it? So I try to explain to him word by word, as if I'm talking to an adult. And he will look at me really seriously. He barely talks. I don't even know if he understands me. But I'll still talk to him like an adult. He will look at me really seriously. And he will stop doing it at the end. He will look at me and he will act like he understood, and then he stops doing it. Maybe he's trying to look cool and be like, I understand what you're saying, kind of thing. So I'm going to stop doing whatever it is because I kind of know you don't want me to do that. I don't know. But it works. I look at him in the eyes, I get in his same level, and I talk to him, hey, I explain to him, word by word, in Tibetan. It's true. I speak to him in Tibetan. That's part of the patrimony. I mean, that's all I have to offer. That's my mother tongue. So I talk to him in Tibetan. That's all I have to offer for now, at least. His mother speaks to him in Portuguese. She's Brazilian. And then between us, we speak English. And he goes to kindergarten in Spain, so he's learning Spanish. So it's a little bit complicated for him, but he's doing really well, actually. So I'm very proud of him. Yeah, so it's slowly, and don't get frustrated. Don't let your frustrations take over. Always have faith in yourself. Trust yourself. Believe in yourself. And if you get stressed, if you're overwhelmed, then always go back to that place that you have within you, that alcove, that what do you call it? Where you feel protected, where you feel safe. You have to find that inner space within you. That's also part of meditation. Any moment during your routine, you can just stop for 2 minutes, breathe, shut out your mind, listen to your heart, go to that place, and then when you open your eyes, you have peace of mind. Sometimes the real peace is the silence of the mind. That's true peace. So try to find that. And through that, you can use it as a means to also be the example. It's a challenge, and we are here to learn. It's a long process of learning. So it's not easy, but it's amazing. The result is amazing, and the work is amazing. For me, that is true Dharma. That's true Buddhism, the love for your children and the dedication and the help that you offer to other people. I'm not saying dedicate all the time and all to there and forget about yourself. That's not compassion. That's not compassion. So you have to also have a limit. You have to have the middle path, the balance. So love yourself, take care of yourself, procrastinate a little bit also. It's very healthy to procrastinate, not too much. A little bit is good. You do need a peace of mind. Your body has to recover. Sleep well, eat well, exercise. Especially have a happy attitude. Whatever happens, the perception. Make sure your perception is positive so that you can have a happy attitude, happy mind, healthy body. The body will absorb everything, like if you are toxic in your mind, your body will get sick. That's how it works. We have billions of cells and they're influenced by our thoughts, they're influenced by our attitude, by our state of mind. So we have a big responsibility, not just with our mind and ourselves, but also with our whole body. And then, of course, everybody that surrounds us and everybody that we interact in life. So don't give up, okay? And you're doing a great job. I can tell. Thank you. Thank you so much. Thank you. And just to let you know, my mother, she had 9 children. She gave birth to 9 children. Okay, and so it's no easy task, but it's possible. She's a very happy person now. But it's a process. It took her a while. It took her a long time to get there, And I've learned a lot from my mother. I learned a lot. Sometimes I learn what I don't want to be when I get older. And sometimes I learn what I want to be when I get older, So I'm so grateful to my mother, and I'm really grateful to the mother of my son. But in the whole universe, those are the only 2 people that I have a lot of difficulty communicating with and getting along with. In the whole universe. My mother and the mother of my son. So for me, it's a huge challenge, but I'm really happy that I've been able to get to a point where we have a really good relationship and we really love each other. You could almost say unconditionally, But because we had to go through that process. It was a very destructive process also, but because always come back to that aspect of you, to that inner child, to that unconditional love, to that true self, that nature of the mind. So answering your question, at the beginning, Dharma, Buddhism, philosophy, of the teachings of the Buddha, they really helped me. What I studied in the monastery has been helping me throughout my life. And sincerely, I would not know how I would have ended up if I didn't have that, after I left the monastery. Because I was like, I completely dived head in first into samsara. So if I hadn't had that information, I probably would have, gotten sucked into it completely. I have been. I'm completely sucking into it. But at least I have a little bit of perspective of, you know, like how to poke my nose and breathe a little bit and then dive back in again. You know? But at least I have that kind of perspective. I'm really trying to get out. But sometimes I'm like, you know, I like samsara. Why am I trying to get out of it? No, I'm joking. Don't think. Don't think like that. Don't think like that. But I do have that thought sometimes, you know. But the reality of samsara is that we suffer a lot, you know. So we have to work on ourselves in order to be able to help others also. Because there's many people that suffer much more than us. And even then they give the best of themselves to others. They share only the best of themselves. So it's amazing inspiration. Okay, third question. Yeah.
Hi, I have a question. So, in Buddhism, there's a concept of a teacher and student disciple, but there's also the concepts of the virtuous friend, the Kalana Mitra. So, is your concept of friend related to this concept of the virtuous friend?
Okay, so your teacher is your virtuous friend also, right? Your guru. But the difference between a guru and just a normal friend is that the guru also represents other aspects. Okay, so the guru is the living embodiment of what you want to achieve. Your friends sometimes, you know, I mean, it's difficult to have that concept. We're all striving, we're all on the same boat. But at least the guru is a living example. For me, you know, a Buddha, you know, to express it in a simple way would be the most advanced version of a human. The best version of a human being would be a Buddha. At least from my perspective, in a more easygoing, like down-to-earth kind of conventional way to see it. So your guru, you visualize as a Buddha, so you see him as the best version of a human. So that's what you're striving to reach. You're trying to get to that kind of aspect. Right? So that is a shining example, the guru. And then of course they're your friend because they're helping you to see that aspect of yourself, that potential within you, that beauty. That it's it's like we have charcoal and then there's a potential diamond inside, but we have to polish it. We have to be able to find the diamond is already there. We just have to recognize it and polish it, basically. And the guru, so we receive the blessings from the guru, we receive the inspiration from the guru, we take refuge in the guru, and we learn from his example. And he's the one who guides us. So he's like the light that helps us walk our path. And a friend, you can also say all of that for a friend, but it's a different kind of perspective, you know. It's a little bit different, but it's similar. So in an Indian kind of phrase, you would say, same, but different. Same, but different, okay? All right? I hope that answers your question. Okay, last question.
Well, thank you very much for being here. And your talk has been so beautiful, inspirational, and so practical also for our, day-to-day life. Going back to where you talk about being depression, is there any, practices that you do apart from, when you talk about, do you have any Dharma practices that might help?
So, depression is just a concept, right? We give it the reality, we give it the importance, we give it the weight by believing in it. It's almost like what do you call that medicine? The placebo effect. So placebo can be positive or negative. So one of the practices of training is to not feed that reality so much. So, I'm depressed. You give that importance. You give that the concept. You believe in it, and it becomes so real. So one of the practices that maybe Dharma can help you with for depression would be to understand the reality, to understand the truth that it's just the mind is just it's like clouds that come and go. It looks solid. But when you go to grab it, there's nothing to grab. So the thoughts come and go. So you can observe them, you can learn from them, but don't believe them to be real or solid. Don't follow your thoughts wherever they take you. Like the grass follows the wind. Wherever the wind blows, that's where the grass goes, Anywhere. The wind blows that way, all the grass goes that way. So don't act like that. Don't, wherever your mind goes, don't go there behind, like a dog. Be the captain of your own boat. And if you're going to use the wind, to sail, then use it properly to go where you want to go. Don't just let the wind push you around anywhere. So that is one of the main practices, is to control your mind, to tame your mind, And that's why it's like a muscle. The mind is like a muscle. If you want to have big muscles, you can't just, I'm going to do exercise today and then tomorrow, why is my muscles not big? It's not. It takes months of effort to have any result. And I think that applies to most things in life. So the same goes to that. If you train your mind, then you will be able to see that depression in itself is empty. And the reality is beautiful. Life is magic. Every single aspect of life is so beautiful. And we have a purpose. We have a function. And through that also it can help us to counteract that depression. Because we have a meaning. Many times we're depressed because we feel that nobody recognizes us. We feel lonely. So if we believe that we do have a purpose, we are not lonely. We are our own best friend, right? So if we are able to, turn the omelette around, we say in Spanish, darle la vuelta a la tortilla. It's like, you turn around the omelette, you have the other side, which is very beautiful. So it's just a matter of learning how to work with that, to be adaptable and how to mold that, And it takes time, it takes practice, but eventually you can get there, And that is what Dharma is talking about. There's so many people who've been realized, who've had that experience, who share that with us throughout thousands of years. And that is tradition. That is what we have today. That is the trunk and the roots, And we have that. And we should be so grateful for that, So anyways, thank you so much. And please forgive me if I created any confusion. If I made any mistakes, please tell me. I love constructive criticism. And thank you so much. Thank you.